What's up, y'all? Uncommon NASA. This is everything we released from Uncommon Records in 2024. 2024 was our 20th anniversary as a label. I don't know if in 2004, if I knew that I was going to be still running this label 20 years later. I've met a lot of amazing people and put out a lot of amazing music in that 20 years. And to be perfectly honest, I would have liked to have gone a lot bigger for our 20th anniversary, but to keep it real, we really used 2024 as sort of like a pacing year. It just so happened that it was the 20th year, but it was a time that we sort of needed to sort of take a step back to take 2 or 3 steps forward. And I'm hoping that's what we do in 2025. I'm not speaking about the releases or the quality of the music or the amount of artists. I'm speaking of the amount of physical products that we put out. That being said, we put out a lot of amazing music, and it's not really all about the fancy bells and whistles. It's really about the music that's released. And toward the end of this video, I want to get into what the plans are going forward, what we're going to do in 2025, and the way that we're going to approach releasing music, which I think will be a lot more engaging and interesting for any of the heads that really like what we do. But let's get into what did happen in 2024. We released Voided, which is a single for myself, self-produced single. Originally, it appeared on an Anthony Fantano compilation, and it was on vinyl. It still is on vinyl. If you go and pick that compilation up, you can have it on vinyl. The way that record worked, you know, my digital rights came back to me after a certain amount of years. And while, you know, they've still got it up as part of that compilation, to be honest, like, I just wanted to get in on some of the streams of my own song. I had the right to do that, and so that's what I did with the label and with the single. That also, though, was the first appearance of the instrumental of that track, Voided. So put that on there, slapped it up, put a new cover on it, and called it a release. After that, we started dropping singles for 2 different projects. Pastense's Sidewalk, Chalk, Parade Day, Rain, which was a album that I produced fully. We'll get into that a little bit more in a minute. And also Art of the Covenant, a reissue from Masai Bay. And both of those projects came out during the summertime, and I basically just stacked singles for each of them throughout the spring. And I'll get into Pastense's Sidewalk, Chalk, Parade Day, Rain first, because that is our physical release of the year. This is it right here. Step a little bit closer. Hopefully the camera will focus. But, you know, of course, our typical digipack style is what we released. Really nice presentation. If you hold this out this way, you know, you can see sort of the way that we align this symmetrically. Amazing art by Nick Tracy's father is laced throughout this entire thing. His father, John Tracy, I was fortunate enough to actually come into possession of one of the original pieces, the Ills single cover. So shout out to John and shout out to Nick, Pastense, for sending that to me. As far as this release goes, it comes with a full lyric book. It is a traditional lyric book insofar as just the lyrics on the front and back. It is, like I said, laced with appropriate and fitting art by John in here. You know, you can read along the lyrics. Lyrics from myself, Guilty Simpson, Short Fuse, June Classic, all are part of this, along with, of course, Pastense, the man himself. So, you know, I just want to say, like, not to toot our own horn, but, like, you know, this was the CD that we put out this year. It's a high quality release in terms of music, of course, but since I'm holding it, I mean, this is the quality of shit that we do. And that's the whole thing about why we did the things that we did this year is if I can't come correct and like make it look like this, or like last year with the releases that we did for Guilty Simpson and Samurai Banana, among others, you know, I'm not going to do it. And, you know, I want everything that we do to be of the highest quality so that everybody that buys it feels like they're getting their money's worth. And I think this album more than does that. And shout out to Jennifer Powell, who did the layout on this. I love the fonts that were used on here, and I love the layout itself. We stuck with sort of the nature theme with a lot of this CD, you know, white completely on the outside. You open it up, it's all black, you know, night to day, day to night. We get what we're doing. So, Pastense, Sidewalk, Chuck, Parade Day, Rain. This is our main full-length release of the year for 2024. As I mentioned, we also did a reissue of Art of the Covenant, another classic album from Masai Bay. I did the remastering, set up the new primary for that, and I'm really happy with the way that came out. Some classic joints back, you know, into the streaming atmosphere. Every one of Masai's albums has something that is just incredibly memorable, and that record had a lot of really memorable tracks. Brand new artwork from Jazz Pants on that. So, you know, Art of the Covenant came out independently from Masai himself in the late 2000s. All of us, including Masai, wanted to do some fresh artwork, and so shout out to Jazz Pants for that. And we reissued it. A couple singles, like I said, another great release. When we get to the end of the video, I'll talk about what's next for some of the Masai Bay releases, reissues, I should say, that are coming out in 2025. After Masai, we got into Short Fuze's I Once Dreamt of Berlin project. This is an EP of, it's another collection of like really great personal Short Fuse songs. I think like, you know, his themes got even stronger. This was a cohesive project. Everything that he said kind of fit together. Produced by Foremost. You know, the story behind the title and the project itself is that Foremost is a producer out of Berlin that reached out to Short Fuse, and they kind of built a bit and put this project together. So that's where the title comes from. Shout out to Jennifer Powell again for another layout on that one, and to Ginger Slim for providing Fuze with the actual, you know, artwork. That's the photo collage that makes up the album cover. After that project, we started to get into singles, and this is part of what I'll talk about for 2025. An EP and singles, I should say. The next thing that came out was The Other Others, which is a new duo from myself and Samurai Banana. Me and Banana have worked together in several capacities for a long time. That's my brother, and I'm really amped that we put this together. The artwork was, the main photo for the artwork was provided by an artist named Chuck Hart, so shout out to him. I actually started to do some layouts myself. This is one of the layouts that I did. It's a really strong EP that I feel really good about. You know, I started just trying to do like some NASA stuff that was produced by Banana, but Banana's beats are so engrossing that, you know, it just became its own thing. It became really political and social, and I just felt like I know the way the two of us feel about those sorts of subjects, and I wanted it to be its own thing. And so that's when we came up with the name Other Others, and I think we're going to, well, I know that we're going to do more music together under that name. I have a few ideas conceptually where it can go for another EP and things like that. After that, I started another duo, because this is what I do. I do projects, and then I do collaborations, and I do more projects. You'll hear more about that in the 2025 piece as well. But Casper Ghostly, another new group to go along with Guillotine Crowns, and the Other Others, of course, White Horse Forever. It's me and Pastense. I mean, we just killing it. And I love this song. Floor 13 was originally actually supposed to be on Pastense's next record, which is a record that's produced by Masai Music. But it just came out so dope to both of us, particularly to me. I just think it's fucking great. Like, I'm really happy with the verse on there. I just like the vibe that we both brought, and I ended up remixing it. So go and get that single. That's on all streaming. You know, take a listen to it. It's really what I should say. And finished off the year with the first remix of that I Once Dreamt of Berlin project that I mentioned before for Short Fuse. I remixed one of the songs on that record called Caviar. Caviar lyrically hit me as one of the hardest songs on there. So that was the first one I went to remix. In part of doing a full project remix release, that's going to be called I Once Dreamt of Shaolin. That's because I'm here on Staten Island. You see it right there behind me. We're working on a full remix album of that project, and that'll come out in 2025 as well, and that is going to be a CD release. I'm going to get into the 2025 stuff now, what our plan is, what we're trying to do. I should also mention, since this is coming out right around the same time, first release is a single in 2025. It's a single from myself called Do You Love, and I self-produced it. That'll be out January 16th or 17th, one or the other, but you get the idea. All right, so now let's get into what the plan is for 2025 for Uncommon Records. As you noticed in the last piece when I was breaking down 2024, toward the end of the year, we really started to stack on some singles, Others EP, you know, Casper Ghostly single, Fuze remix single. January starts with a single from me. February is going to be a single from Dreamt Classic called FEB, and you know, that's going to set off our project together. That's sort of the third in my current sort of production trilogy of, you know, Guilty Simpson, Pastense, Dreamt Classic. Dreamt Classic's time is going to be 2025 in terms of like a produced album by myself on Uncommon Records. So shout out to June. It's been a long time coming, but my point in bringing all that stuff out is, you know, I really want to keep us pumping stuff out digitally, right? And before you think that I'm not gonna have Uncommon do any physical products, like hold that thought for a second, but hear me out on the digital thing. I think, you know, we have a core of artists that are on the label at this point. Myself, Fuze, Pastense, Dreamt Classic, Samurai Banana. Happy to work with Last Sons, whatever they want to do. We've got the Masai catalog, of course, Gotcha Forever. But our core of artists that is putting stuff out, it's really the goal for the label to sort of keep all of us sort of relevant and all of us creative. And I think putting out more singles more often as we finish records, it takes a lot of the pressure off for a small label like us to just put all of our eggs in the one basket of like, this album is gonna be great, this is what's gonna happen. The industry has changed a lot, the underground industry, where like trying to get press and people to really pay attention to a singular album from a singular artist, from a singular label, is just really difficult with the amount of music that's out there and the lack of, frankly, people that know what the fuck they're talking about to hear it. I think we really need to bring our music to the people more, and that means putting out singles and keeping our streaming algorithms, or whatever you want to call it, moving, instead of going like a year and a half or 2 years in between releases that hit Spotify and Apple Music and all those places. It's just got to constantly be churning. And I think part of that is also like a creative thing too, where like this new single I'm putting out in a couple weeks from now, you know, Do You Love? Like, if people respond to that, I'm still working on my next album. Like, if people respond to that in a positive way, then I kind of can take that and be like, boom, like this is, it's not like I'm gonna try to recreate that single 10 more times, but it's like I know that I'm on the right direction. If it doesn't get a response, then it's cool. It's not going to change the way that I approach my album, but at least kind of have an indication of like, okay, maybe this doesn't fit actually what I'm trying to do as much. I think it's dope, or else I wouldn't have put it out. But you get what I'm saying? Like, it gives me like an instant like dopamine hit of having a single out from an album that's not even finished. Like, it kind of gives me a little bit of energy, and I think that all the guys on the label will feel that too. This isn't like anything earth-shattering in terms of strategy, but it's a lot different for us, you know? And we're still an album-based label, don't get me wrong. We're working toward creating albums, right? We're not just putting out singles as one-offs, but I just think we need more music out there so that people know that we're doing shit. We just need to stay in front of people and have things to promote all the time. And I think that's gonna lead to more physical releases. So the nitty gritty is definitely a Dreamt Classic CD, at least. fully produced by myself. Definitely a Masai Bay reissue of his project that he presented, Kitchen Chemistry. Kitchen Chemistry was an alias of Masai's, put out an album called Transit back in like 2010 with Uncommon Records. And me and Jazz Pants actually doing it, me just saying things, have been working extremely hard and for a long time to finish the CD layout and the cover. Again, like I showed you with the Pastense CD, you know, we really put a lot into the artwork and making it look as perfect as we can possibly make it. And I'm really looking forward to that being a CD. And let me tell you, Masai blessed us with a lot of Kitchen Chemistry bonus material. That CD is basically like double the length with original material from that era of Kitchen Chemistry. So if y'all know about Kitchen Chemistry and Transit, you'll be really excited. If you just know about Masai and some of the releases that we've just put out recently, this is another banger of a CD. So I'm really amped, super amped to put that out. I'm working on my solo album, still chipping away at it. I went back and looked at 2023's video, and I noticed that I said that at the end of that video too. I have no idea where I was at the time on the album, but I did not move very far in the last year, at least on my solo record, because I've been doing all the other stuff, you know, and I think that'll happen. Short Fuse and Pastense individually both have Messiah Music produced records that'll be out on Uncommon Records. Look for that. I am but one man with one mixing board, so there is a little bit of a time that it'll take for all of that stuff to get completed, but it will get completed. As I mentioned before, Short Fuse, I Once Dreamt of Shaolin, basically my remix album of his I Once Dreamt of Berlin record. That's going to have a lot of new wrinkles, and that'll be another CD. I actually forgot to mention that as one of our sort of lockdown physicals. That'll also be a CD with the original version and the instrumentals and my version and all my instrumentals. So that'll be pretty cool because Berlin did not get a CD release last year. I've got beats set aside for a new Guillotine Crowns record. I've got beats set aside from multiple other producers, including myself, for the first Casper Ghostly album. All these things are happening. You know, I can't promise that all these things are going to happen in 2025, but I do want to kind of like put all that stuff out into the universe to kind of urge it to happening. But you can see like the way that I work as a producer and as an artist, and as a label owner is, you know, it's basically 2 years ahead of at all times. I can't keep my brain still enough. And I think at times it frustrates me, and it probably frustrates some of the people that I work with, because I'll make a lot of progress and we'll start something and it really doesn't finish for a while. It takes a while to finish things. And that's another reason for the singles, because it keeps us all engaged and moving as artists to get stuff out there instead of just waiting for an album to drop, because it puts so much pressure on an album. That's just what we're experiencing as independent artists. And that was part of the slowdown last year. And I'm hoping to kind of ramp back up, work our way back up into vinyl releases, if not in late 2025 or mid 2025 to late 2025, certainly in 2026. But I think there is a good potential that something will appear on vinyl in 2025. But certainly more CDs are coming, and lots of digital stuff. So hopefully I'll get one of those thumbnails with me holding a bunch of stuff again for 2025's version of this video. But comment down below, let me know what you think of our plans, what projects for 2025 you're excited about, what projects in 2024 that you were amped about, what some of your favorites were, maybe even put down a project that you missed that you're going to go back and check out. I'd be curious, you know, to hear that kind of thing too, because it's like, you know, which one of our projects is reaching people from a promotional standpoint, and which ones are you missing and why. And certainly go back and check them out if that is the case. All the links to all the releases that came out in 2024 are of course going to be down in the description. Yeah, like, subscribe, keep us going. Thank you. I'm going to put another video about what's going to happen with this channel in 2025. That'll be coming shortly. So peace to everybody that is still here listening. I will see y'all soon.